Welcome back to Twin Set Unzipped. In this week's episode, we will be sharing our stories for C-Section Awareness Month, also toxic TikTok filters that have really made us feel worried for our children.
Not forgetting learning about how we're doing our morning routine all wrong, and ending on our feel-good factors of the week. As always, thank you so much for your support. Please do like, subscribe, comment, and recommend to all your friends who might like to have a listen.
Enjoy the show. So I'm back from holiday.
Hi, babes.
And it feels like I've been away forever. Why is that?
I feel like you've been away forever.
It's been a weird thing because obviously we were in Marrakesh. Then we came back for a day. Then I went off and it was Easter. So everyone was off for 4 days. And then I come back and we're in a whole new studio. It just feels like so much has changed.
We're in a whole new studio. We've just had a big launch. It's a new month.
Yeah, it does feel like this is a whole new chapter.
And dare I say, it's spring.
Is it? I am
a rainy one.
Freezing today. I heard yesterday that we did have the rainiest March in 40 years. And April, probably going to be the same for April. I think being away, just feeling that sun on your skin, there is just nothing better. And I was in Dubai and it was so nice. Actually bumped into quite a few twin setters out there.
Did you?
And twice I got absolutely shamed. Alex's life was made. 2 girls came up to me and said, I have to come up to you. I did see your husband first, but I just wanted to say hi. So he was absolutely living the dream with that.
Bye, Philippa. Hello, Alex on the podcast.
Absolutely. I mean, who even am I anymore? He loved that. But we had a really nice time. Do you know what? It's just, I think we're so on the whole time. And even the kids, now that they're at school with the homework and everything and all the activities, the camps, the sports and everything, it's just so full on. It's just so nice to have a week of just and breathe and relax and no structure.
And talking of kids, any funny holiday stories for me?
So actually at the airport on the way, you know when you've got like this vision in your head of how it's all going to pan out, how it's going to work. And I said to Alex, it was a Friday night flight. I was like, I really do not want to rush. We both worked we worked on Friday, packed up, went, had plenty of time, wanted to leave myself 3 hours that we could have dinner there, chill, relax, have a calm experience.
I feel there's a huge
butt coming. The whole thing is going so well. Whilst we were in Dubai, Alfie was doing a football camp, so I'd promised him I would get him new football trainers. So we check in, go through security. It's all beautiful. It's calm. It's chilled. Go to JD Sports. He gets his trainers. Go to Wagamama. Have our dinner, and then I'm like, right, I'm just going to go to Boots quickly before we go to the gate. I need to get some sun cream. Come back from Boots, and Alex is like, where's the buggy? We had 2 buggies, by the way. I was like, well, I thought you had it. He was like, well, I thought you had it. We only had 1 at this point. So we're looking around, and I, for the life of me, cannot remember who had which buggy, but I convinced myself that he had the one that got lost.
I was going to say, if Alex had one...
I mean, God knows
where was yours?
No, my one was with me, but who knows? I could have had the other one as well. We don't know at this point. I'm trying to rack my brains. Anyway, I'm like, well, you've obviously lost it. You've left it somewhere. Go back to JD Sports and find it. So I took the kids to the gate. At this point, we've now got like 20 minutes to get to the gate, and it's like a 20-minute train ride to get there. We're so panicked. He's like freaking out, what's in this buggy? Neither of us can remember. We're all flustered. He goes to JD Sports, it's not there. And then I said, right, I'm going to have to take the kids now to the gate. He goes to the security. The security are like, well, we're going to have to go to Lost and Found. It could take another 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
We're getting so stressed out. I call him because everyone's literally boarding the plane. I'm like, you've got to come. Just forget about the buggy. But Alex cannot bear that kind of behavior. He's like, I can't let it go. Like, we can't just lose a buggy. So finally, I see him leg it to the gate.
Sorry, with or without a buggy? Without
the buggy. And at this point, I'm like, who cares? It doesn't matter. The only reason why we had 2 buggies was because for the journey home, we were doing a crazy, ridiculous 1 a.m. flight. So we knew that the kids would be asleep, well, hopefully asleep in the airport, and we wouldn't have to hold one. Anyway, so we get on the flight. I'm like, don't worry about it. It's only a buggy. Let's not freak out. We've still got 1. Doesn't matter. Sit down. And then Alex says, where's the kitty? So for those of you that I need to share, Kitty is Ava's comforter that she has slept with since she was about 4 months old. She has never not slept with it. She is so attached, a little bit like Miss Ellis over here with her Muzzy. She cannot sleep without this Muzzy.
But there is a few bunnies.
There's a few kitties.
Kitty, sorry.
There's a few kitties, but for some reason, I only packed one for the airport. Why?
Error.
I will never do that.
Error.
Kitty was left in this buggy that was now lost.
I feel that pain deep within my heart for Ava because I know how that would feel.
I was just so panicked. How am I going to tell her? So I'm sitting there thinking, she's not going to be able to sleep. We've got this whole night flight. She's not going to be able to sleep. She's never been able to sleep without it. So in my head, I'm just working myself up thinking, how am I going to break it to her? Do I just ignore the situation? Do I just hope that she'll fall asleep?
She'll be so tired, she just passes out.
It will just be a magical experience where she'll just sleep and she won't even ask for it. So I'm like sweating, thinking, what am I going to do? I'm like working myself up so much. And about halfway into it, she turns around and she goes, Mummy, I want Kitty. I want to go to sleep. So I look at Alex and I can't bring myself to say anything. So I just make him say it. He goes, so the thing with Kitty is that Kitty's not on the aeroplane because she's in the suitcase. So we'll have Kitty as soon as we land. And you know when their lip goes. And I can just see that her heart is just so broken and she can't understand. And then Alfie, bless him, goes, well, you can have my bunny, Ava. Oh, so cute.
Stop.
So, but you know how, like, as parents, we work ourselves up so much. I mean, it could have gone one way or another. Thank God Alfie, bless him, with his kind soul, gave her his bunny. And she slept.
And did Alfie sleep without Bunny?
He did. But he's okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, he's not as attached. Normally at home, if he had given her his bunny, she would be like, no, I want Kitty.
But she was obviously so
she was
tired,
and
so that
so
worked to
desperate.
your advantage.
But I think lesson learned, sometimes we just have to put a little bit more faith into our children. And it's normally us that overreact and cause the fuss and the drama. And actually, although I was so stressed out about the whole flight and her not sleeping, it was fine.
It was fine.
So it started off very stressful.
Pack all the muzzies, all the kitties, all the gear.
I will never be doing that again.
I sometimes take like two wheelies on the plane, like literally a bag each, because I feel like I need to, for my own mental health, I need to be prepared for every eventuality.
Do you take a muzzy for yourself on the plane?
Something I really battle with, because there's nothing I want to have more in life than a muzzy on a night flight.
You're so jealous of your kids.
Yeah, but how can I sit there as a grown woman? I can't. So sometimes if I've got Edie on me, I try and have one of her muzzies high up that I can literally sniff away. But it's hard for me on a night flight.
Well, lesson learned. I will not be flying with one kitty ever again. But that's it. But did you have a good Easter? I feel like you were also...
I had a good Easter. I had Craig's 40th.
Yeah.
Lots of celebrations, lots of cake, lots of Easter eggs, all lovely times. But was very, very happy to be back to some form of normality.
Yes.
On Tuesday. I literally don't even know what day it is. I think it's Wednesday today because I feel like I'm very bad out of routine.
Yeah.
And I feel, because remember, before Marrakesh, I was in Tenerife as well. So the past month, there's been no routine and I have felt wild inside. So I'm delighted to be back to routine. And yeah, back to normal.
And we're now in April, which... Thank God we're in April. I mean, come on, we just need to get to summer. We need the warmer days, the longer days. But we both read last week, April is C-section Awareness Month, which is interesting for us because we have both had C-sections, two very different experiences.
Maybe 4 different very experiences.
Yes, actually. And we actually often do get asked about sharing our birth experiences on Instagram, and we kind of haven't really had that opportunity to do it. It's never felt right. So we thought we would just kind of share a little bit about why we had to have them, our feelings towards it, because I know that C-sections have such a negative connotation. But for us, we wanted to share why we had them and our own experience. Do you want to go first?
I'm going to let the positive story start.
Okay. Right. So when I fell pregnant, I think as most, well, maybe not all, but a lot mothers, you have this visualization of how you're going to give birth, and it's going to be a very incredible, natural moment. And, you know, that's what I dreamt of anyway. In my head, I really wanted to deliver naturally. In my head, there was no other option. And when I fell pregnant with Alfie, I think I was about 8 weeks, I started to bleed, which for anyone that's pregnant is like, oh my gosh, like what's going on here? So went to the doctor, and after meeting a few different doctors at the time, the reason why I was bleeding was because there is a technical name for my uterus, but in layman's terms, it's a heart-shaped uterus. So basically, a uterus, I imagine, should be round, but mine kind of goes in the middle. There's different extremes. Obviously, mine, thankfully, is very minor. There's situations if you have too much of a dip in the middle, you will not be able to fall pregnant. But it meant that the baby would only grow in one side of my uterus, which obviously would then mean that the baby would always be breached. There was no way of it being any other way. So therefore, I had to have a caesarean. I think you can actually, even if you do have a breech baby, you can try and deliver naturally. But obviously, the complications are huge and the risk is very high. So at that point, I do remember being told all of this information. And, you think your body is how it's meant to be. You don't, unless you're being told this is what's going on inside, you can't imagine it. So at that point, there was no conversation to be had. I knew I was going to have breech babies, and therefore I knew I was going to have a caesarean. And it's the weirdest thing when you go in for a planned caesarean, because you're almost like you're going into hospital just to pick up an Amazon delivery.
I'd love to experience that feeling.
It's so bizarre. It's the most organized, calmest form of giving birth. And whilst you don't experience the drama, the expectation of kind of how long you're going to be in labor, the pain, feeling that pain, going through all the emotions, which I really, really did want to experience. I wanted to see if my body was capable of it, if my mind could do it.
Of course it would be.
Yes, but when you're put into a situation where you can't do that, your body will not allow you to do
but
that.
You could have mentally coped for sure.
Yeah. It was probably one of the best days of my life, that planned caesarean, because it was so orchestrated. There was no room for error. So I had a very positive experience with caesareans, planned caesareans. Obviously, emergency caesareans are a whole different story, and I know you're going to go into that. But in terms of a planned caesarean, and I know, people say you're too posh to push and all of those connotations with caesareans, but that
I'm sure for some people that is
perhaps
their mindset.
Yeah.
But I think when you're, like you said, in a emergency caesarean or your body physically can't do it, it's a different situation. And there is a real mental thing about getting your head around that, because the choice is taken out of your hands.
Yeah.
I think it's very different when you get to make the decision yourself versus this is what you have to do.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful experience in a very different way.
Yeah, of course.
You're not pushing the baby out, but you're still delivering it.
Absolutely.
And it's still a wonderful, I don't know anything different.
Yeah.
So for me, it was the best experience ever. So I think it's important to share the positive side of, and listen, it is major surgery and it's huge recovery and all of that comes with it. But for me, it was so worth it.
So I ended up with 2 emergency caesareans, and not to scare anyone that hasn't had kids, I just want to share my story. They were quite different, but they were both emergency in the end. So with Lenny, bear in mind, I had lots of IVF. My body was pumped full of drugs. I was really fixated on having a natural birth. And I had totally forgotten that Lenny was breech. He was breech, I think 6 weeks before, had a scan. The doctor said, his breech, you're going to have to possibly have a caesarean unless he turns. So mentally, getting my head around that, I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to give birth naturally. So I had to get that out of my head and think, right.
Did you try and have him?
I went to my reflexologist. We did a whole session on moving the baby because I didn't want to have that thing where they
turn it.
Yeah. Anyway, and I think I was looking back through the dates on my phone. I think 2 weeks later he moved. So I then went for another scan and they were like, he's moved. So I was like, great, this was meant to be. Back in that mindset. I'd done hypnobirthing. I was so chilled. I was like, the labor, I've got this. I can do this, etc. Anyway, went into labor and essentially my contractions ended up coming very quick and very firm, but I didn't dilate. So this went on for nearly 3 days. I had 3 sweeps, I had pethidine, but it wasn't going anywhere. Then finally got to 4 centimeters, and I was like, I was so physically drained and tired that I didn't think I could go on anymore. So I said, I've got to have an epidural, which was not in my birthing plan, but we go with it. As I was about to have the epidural, my waters broke. There was poo in the water, so I had to be rushed upstairs. They gave him a scan, and then it was from down there just really, really downhill. And the alarms went off. His heart rate dropped. Do you remember my heart now, because I feel like I've definitely got PTSD from it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really weird. My heart is beating so fast. I can remember being in that room. I remember the fear of that alarm bell going off, of them being like, she's got to get into surgery now. Craig needs to get the gowns on. I remember that was the biggest fear, because you can't help but your mind go to, oh my God, are we both going to be okay?
Yeah.
And I remember Craig being a mess. And I think when I saw him being a mess, I was gone. But it was so quick, and I will say that the rest is very a blur. Went in, and he was born beautifully, pouting. Do you remember that first pouting picture?
I do.
Had a 1 minute cuddle. Craig took him away because.
Do you remember this, or is it just the pictures?
No, I do remember it. Something had happened to my bowel, so I was in surgery for quite a while afterwards. So I had that quick cuddle, and then Craig was just left in a room with Lenny. He wasn't fed. Like, it was a really weird. And all I remember is these nurses were amazing, stroking me, saying, "It's going to be okay. You're going to." Oh my God, I've got you as well. Sorry,
because you don't really go there again, do you?
It's really weird. It's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Tell me what you do for work. Tell me about your friends. And she was stroking me, and I don't even remember who she was or anything like that. But
these nurses and doctors are just phenomenal.
Anyway, it was fine. They did what they needed to do, but it was quite a while after till I got to hold Lenny again. And the issue was they didn't know what happened. And to this day, I still don't really know what the situation was. But I wasn't able to get up for 3 days or eat or drink. So I was basically bedbound in the hospital with Lenny. I was in a special area. And it was fine. We got on with it. But I think going into motherhood, after having that extreme trauma. Yeah. Also, I spent a week in hospital. So Craig's paternity leave, which was 2 weeks, I only had a week home with him afterwards. Yeah. So I was left after having major surgery. I found it really, really, really hard. And I just felt like a shell of myself because I was traumatized. I was obviously recovering from surgery, getting your head around it. But he was happy and he was healthy and we were there. But one funny story I will share because it makes me laugh to this day, and you know me, you've got to have a funny moment. So you have to get up after having an epidural or your body swells. To go to the toilet, right? To do anything. So I was on like a catheter. I was like attached. And if you don't get up, do you know what happens?
Do you balloon?
Literally, I remember getting up out of bed after 3 days.
But hold on 1 second, as in because you weren't allowed.
I wasn't allowed to get up because they were worried about my bowels. So I was like hooked up.
So what was the protocol for you not ballooning?
Or I did balloon. So when I eventually got out of bed out of 3 days, I remember Craig helping me to the toilet. I remember my nunny was like wobbling. It was literally like each leg was about the size. I can't even, thank God there wasn't a mirror, because I said to Craig, what is going on down here? Everything is wobbling. It's the most, what's happened to me?
Well, because you went into labour. You had all the motions of labour, and
I basically did have a labour without any pain relief. I just didn't push, and I didn't have the baby at the end.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, went back to normal, and I lived to tell the tale, and he's happy and healthy.
I remember that. You've reminded me, that first feeling of swinging your legs around after the surgery to stand up. You feel like you've never stood up before. You can't remember how to walk.
And you think you're never going to go back to normal again.
And I remember just walking up and down the ward thinking, wow, I've done it.
Yeah.
And the small wins of the day of just being able to get out of the bed without it hurting.
It is major surgery. Yeah. I remember coming to see you after you had Ava and I made you laugh and you were like, you can't make me laugh.
The pain of laughing. I used to put a cushion there. Oh gosh.
But listen, that was Lenny. With ED, because of my previous experience, I wanted to have a planned caesarean. Anyway, let's just say Edie's feisty. She decided to come a day early than my plan. Of course she did. Day early for my planned caesarean. It was all quite quick, and because although I did go into labour, they did get me in quite quickly.
Yeah.
And I had my One Direction playlist on, and it was a much more chilled experience, and it was much more enjoyable.
Yes.
So it was definitely more positive,
So
although it was
two
still
emergencies, but
yeah.
one easier than the other. So those are our stories. So anyone that has a similar story, or perhaps pregnant, or just find this whole chat quite interesting. We actually haven't spoken about our births, I don't think, ever.
Not in
so
that
was
not like maybe odd sentences.
Yeah,
here
but
and
not
there.
really going into like the emotions of it. So that was actually quite nice for us.
Yeah, and that was our story. And I think it's important to share, and knowledge is power. And overall, it was a very positive experience for both of us. Moving on to something lighter.
Let's do it.
I want to talk about TikTok. I want to talk about this app, Bold Glamour app, that I know it's quite a few weeks in discussion, but I'm basing it on something that happened to me last week. For those that don't know, the Bold Glamour app is the app that people are using that will totally transform your face to what the app is telling you is beautiful. So the app is telling you that big eyes, a thin nose, a structured jawline is beautiful. And this app will work on video, it will work on pictures, but so seamlessly that I could be talking to you now and your face could be different. I would never, ever know. That is so dangerous and so toxic that it is so worrying that people feel the need. And listen, we're guilty of sometimes using filters on Instagram, not to change our features, but maybe to change the lighting in the background, that kind of thing, which we actually don't really do anymore because I think we've understood the impact that it has. But it is just so worrying that people feel the need to do that and want to look like this standard of beauty that is decided by this app.
Well, also for me, the most worrying thing about it is the fact that it's so big on TikTok, because obviously the generation that are on TikTok are the younger girls and boys. And whilst, women, they can use all the filters they want, but they're grown women. They have, they've gone through life's experiences, whether they want to do that or not, that's their choice. But young girls, young boys using these filters, it's just
I'm feeling the need to
worrying.
And having young kids now and having girls, I mean, my niece was round at my house the other day and I gave her a glass of water and she said, these glasses are really aesthetically pleasing.
How old is she?
She's 9. What were you doing when you were 9?
Aesthetically pleasing?
Yeah. It's from TikTok. She's watching aesthetically pleasing things. When I was 9, getting new pens for my pencil case
literally that was the best day of your life.
The best day of my life. And she has like a morning and evening routine. She films herself like on her phone. She puts on a headband. She's got a fridge for her not her makeup, her beauty products in her room. And she'll be like, just putting on my hyaluronic acid.
And she's 9. That's the generation. And it's so scary. But I have to say, scary. Ava will be playing with her Barbies. Sylvanian families and her Barbies and her babies until she is a grown woman.
I mean, I'd love to know tips on how to...
I think that's the thing.
Navigate
it's parenting this generation because it's so new. This is a whole new world. No one knows how to handle it. And I think, when we were younger, it was MSN, maybe Facebook for some.
Not when we were that age.
No, you're right. We were older. So it wasn't your 9-year-olds. So this is a whole new level of parenting. So if there are any apps or groups or anything that can help us, give us, because as we said before, knowledge is power. If you don't have the knowledge, especially with our firsts. And I think, although we're saying it's so scary for the girls, but I think equally it's as important and our responsibility to make sure that we bring up our boys with respect, because
and to be able to call things out if they see things
absolutely happening. They're going through it just as much as the girls are. So I think it's scary on both sides.
Part of me thinks as well that maybe by the time that our kids are 9, 10, I know you're a few years away, I don't know if it will. I fear that it's so dangerous how it is now. Will it be the same in that time? I mean, sure, there'll be the next thing.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's bubbling now, but I don't know. I just think it's really scary. And you just keep hearing just that these girls just want to look. No one's happy to be themselves, and
it's just too much information and the wrong type of information and the comparing. And
I mean, I think back looking at magazines when you're growing up, and I love following Alex Light on Instagram, and she highlights the way you know, people are described in the paper and in magazines online, you know, look at so-and-so, she's thin, or this happened. And I do think that's really dangerous, but that's the only thing that we grew up with, is looking at magazines, showcasing who's lost weight, who's put on weight, I don't even remember thinking about having boob jobs or surgery was really a thing back then. But there was if you didn't read the magazines, you weren't
aware.
Whereas now, everywhere you go, on the YouTube, TVs, phones, everything.
But the more importantly, it's not real life. So they're comparing themselves to it's not real.
Yeah, this is
so
true.
They're never going to look like that. They shouldn't want to, but they're never going to want to. So they're comparing themselves or wanting something that's not real. And that's what is really worrying, because there's no level of there's no grounding there. It's just fantasy. And we just wanted to raise it in today's episode because
it's something that's really been playing on our minds. But yes, if you've got any resources to share or any stories that will help us, we'd love to hear from you guys, and just kind of open up that conversation, because it's something new that we're navigating, and we know that we want to be on it and be responsible.
Absolutely. So a couple of episodes ago, we were speaking about our morning routines. It seemed to be very much the in topic to talk and discuss everyone's morning routines, down to what time you wake up, whether you journal. For me, it's now starting to shower in the morning. That has definitely changed my life.
And let me tell you, a lot of listeners' lives.
Yes, I have inspired lots of you to get up half an hour earlier and make sure you get in that shower.
But there's a but coming.
There's a real but coming, because Sarah yesterday in the office shared that we're doing it all wrong, guys.
I read that actually your best morning routine starts the night before. So all this hard work that we've been doing, we've been doing it all wrong. This was from someone on Instagram called Ben Meir, who I've recently started following. It's a really great page, lots of kind of tips on life and just his version of doing things, and it's really good. Anyway, but I do want to share with you some of the tips he said for starting the night before, because I do actually think we do them.
And also there's merit to it, because
100%,
last night
we're doing them without realising it, and that
great.
was comforting to me.
Yes.
So I'm not going to read them all out, but these are the ones I feel like we do and that we should pat ourselves on the back for.
Go for it.
Define your productive day the night before. So we are very good at deciding what we're doing the next day, when we're doing it. We're planning, organising lists, emails being sent. Like, I do feel like we have a structure for the day. We never go into day being like, what are we going to do today?
No, never.
So that's a good one.
Tick.
Journal one beautiful life moment. Now, I do go to bed at night thinking of 3 grateful things for the day, and I feel like you're a grateful person as well. We might not write it down physically, but I feel like that is definitely something that we take on board.
So now the idea is that you journal in the evening and the morning.
No, this is just one beautiful moment. It could be your great lunch. It could be the sun was shining, or something like that. So it's just one thing to look back on the day. So it's not like a whole journaling thing, just one thing.
Yeah.
Laying out the clothes the night before.
Tick.
Absolutely. Without a shadow of the doubt. Gym stuff out the night before, your outfit for the day.
Yeah.
It is... I think I could waste 45 minutes every morning if I didn't plan my outfit the night before.
I mean, for me, it's just a no-brainer. Have to do it. Do it for the kids with their uniform. Last night when they had camp today, everything was laid out. You have to do that.
Absolutely. And then this one we don't do, but I think it's interesting. Charge your phone outside of reach so you can jump out of bed in the morning.
My mum does this, actually.
Does she?
Well, actually, she turns off her phone, but leaves it in.
Everyone's now like airplane mode.
I'm just
Best
always
way to be
so
productive.
worried, just in case of an emergency, my mum or
but
brother
Wi-Fi
or grandma
still
need-
works. So
I don't know. I mean, I totally agree, because there's nothing worse. You know, if you wake up in the middle of the night, go to the toilet, then you come back and you look at your phone.
Oh, no.
Then you're up.
No.
So maybe we need to try.
I mean, I don't set an alarm, because you know me and my body clock. But
Never set an alarm.
Unless I'm going on a flight. Because also my kids get up at like 5 something anyway. So
but I know my kids are going to wake me up, but I always set an alarm just in case.
No, never.
Living on the edge.
Oh, yeah. This one, pack healthy snacks. People are the worst version of themselves when they're hungry.
So true.
That is me to my core. I'm either hungry or hangry or dying for a wee. And both of those things make you really
angry.
So that was a good one.
So you pack snack.
So I do get my bag ready for work the night before, so I'll put in like my apple protein bar.
I don't do that. I just literally, as I'm leaving, I'll just shove in
I do it the night before.
one. Okay, maybe I
Top
need
tip.
to do that.
This one is very you and not so much me.
Go on.
You know what it is.
I don't.
Do the dishes. the night before.
Right. So
dirty dishes spill into other areas of your life.
in the office yesterday, we're discussing these topics, and
No judgment, guys. We're all different.
came on to the subject of cleaning the dishes before you go to bed. There's no way.
By the way, the more we're saying dishes, it's sounding really bizarre to me.
There's no way in hell I would leave my sink full and go up to bed. I just would not do it. I could not come downstairs in the morning to see dinner left in the sink. So Sarah says, yeah, but sometimes, if you can't bother to empty the dishwasher, so you'll just leave it into the morning, which I understood at that point. I got her vibes. But then I said, why would you load the dishwasher before your dinner? And she goes, well, no, they might be like cereal from the morning, breakfast plates in the sink. So then I've established the fact that she hasn't actually put any of her dishes in the dishwasher and she's just built them up, which I found quite worrying for you. And I think you need to stop this behaviour.
Right. So I'm going to tell you that sometimes when it's rushed in the morning, I just put all the dishes in the sink from the kids' breakfast.
Yes.
Then if by the time I get home, bath, bedtime, if we just had a light dinner, maybe use the slow cooker and just leave the stuff in the sink. And I do it in the morning. Skanky. But let me tell you, I'm the best version of myself in the morning. I'm on it. I can do any task. In the evening, I'm a friggin' mess. And sometimes I just want to turn a blind eye, turn the lights off and do it in the morning.
You're going all wrong because your day starts the night before. So now you need to start cleaning your dishes.
I did try it last night.
And?
I feel zesty.
Yeah. You went to bed feeling the best version of yourself?
And the dishwasher was on.
There you go.
But I didn't empty it this morning.
No, okay, I'm with you with that.
Right,
I mean, no one's got time for that.
Right, so if you didn't want to empty your dishes this morning.
Yes.
Because I have been to your house and seen breakfast in the sink. Yeah. I'm not going to lie.
It does
I'm not going to lie.
I'm not perfect.
But so you won't empty the dish. You're happy to leave breakfast in there till the end of the day, but then you'll empty and then load in one go.
For example, this morning, there was no time for me to empty the dishwasher and then load it again.
Right.
So I left the dishwasher full, clean.
Yeah.
And then I just cleaned my cereal bowls and dried them and put them away.
Right, okay. So you find
I made time
I will
to do
say
that.
I don't leave the food in the plates. I do rinse it all out. I promise you. Because that makes me feel grim. No, that makes me feel grim. I just don't put them in the dishwasher.
But we're going to try.
Actually, though, that's my bad habit. What's yours then, Philippa?
Oh, my bad habit.
Oh, let me think. Do I have any?
Which one? No, I have to say, I was actually thinking about this last night. I am so guilty of...
I don't know what you're going to say here.
So once the kids are in bed, get home from work, put the kids to bed. There's nothing better for me than getting into a boiling hot bath. That's like my absolute happy place. But what happens is, like what happened last night, I'll get into the bath at, say, 7:30, 7:45, and then it's 9 o'clock and I'm still in the bath and it's freezing cold.
Are you not a shriveled, shivering
Why have I
mess?
done this to myself? And I do it pretty much like almost every single night because I get in the bath, it's boiling, I'll do my work. Last night, there was a load of Instagramming to do. Took a long time, and then I've done that, and then I've moved on to something else, and all of a sudden, an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. No, but I'm just lying.
Would you consider putting more warm water in?
For some reason, I'm just like so in the zone of whatever I'm doing. An hour and a half goes by, and then I move my leg, and I realize how cold the water is, and I'm like, why am I still in here?
You've mummified in the bath.
So that is my worst habit. I have to stop doing it, and what I need to do is either not take my phone into the bath because then.
Imagine just lying there, though.
But that would be a beautiful thing.
But that's the weirdest thing now. Could you go and have a coffee by yourself, have a bath, just sit there? Because that's what I find. I'm struggle to do that now.
I haven't done it. I would like to do it. I would like to have that time to be able to just sit and be in the moment.
It's hard though because you're so used to grabbing your phone, and that is so scary.
But yeah, that is my worst habit, and I'm definitely going to try and not do it again because why am I doing that to myself? There's no bubbles in the bath. I'm just in cold, milky water.
That's so grim.
Not nice.
Okay, so after your grim bath chat, I want to tell you something that's made me feel fantastic this week.
What has it been?
Love is Blind.
I haven't got into it.
Oh my God. Don't even pretend that you've ever watched any series.
Alex loves all of that crap.
It is, quite honestly, the best television ever made.
It's very you.
It's very me. It's heartwarming. It's addictive. It's feel good. It gets those endorphins going for all the right reasons. And I look forward to watching Love is Blind. I'm devastated that I'm up to date now. So I've got to wait until the 14th.
Which is
I
Tuesday.
don't even know. And then the 17th for my next fixes and then it ends. But I've really enjoyed watching it, the thing is, I don't have set time and I don't watch TV every day. So it's actually been quite a labor of love. It's taken me quite a while to get through it. But even if I've been watching like 15 minutes and watch them falling in love and being so lovely, it's just amazing.
So
and
I
love
can't
it.
get into stuff like that. Like if I'm going to watch something, if I'm going to invest time in watching something, it has to grip me. Like I can't.
This is gripping. Craig literally.
Does he? He doesn't watch it. No.
He has
Just
like
about
golf
to
on in
say.
the background. The other night he said, I can't even listen to this shit, and went upstairs.
You and Alex literally need to go off together.
Yeah, literally.
Watch
match
Love
made
is
me-
Blind. Love is Blind. Okay.
I wanted to share that.
I have to say, I know that feeling of like after work, after the kids in bed, you've still got something to watch and kind of
Even if it's 10 minutes. I mean,
escapism.
I wouldn't sit down for an hour. I'd love to, but I don't, and watch an episode. But just kind of having something to look forward to is a really nice feeling.
I have to say, I read recently someone say the biggest life hack is to basically watch what everyone's talking about, because then society will accept you and you'll be part of the conversations. I have to say, yesterday in the office, when you and Hope were talking about Love is Blind and I was not part of the conversation,
How did you feel?
I felt like society was not accepting me.
I'm so sorry that
So
I made you feel that way.
I need to start watching it so I
Do
can
you
be part
accept my
of the chat.
apology?
But my little kind of token of the week,
Yeah.
you lent me this book for holiday. It's called It Ends With Us. I have not read a book in forever. Just never had that time. Actually, that's actually such a bad excuse. I never made the time. But I realized how much I love reading on holiday. And it's such a great,
It's a
it's
good
just
book,
an
isn't it?
easy holiday read, lighthearted, but it's gripping at the same time. A great story. And I loved it. And it was just like an hour of the day when Alfie was playing football. Ava went to kids club for an hour.
How nice.
Never done
And
that.
also an hour not with your phone.
Exactly. Well, it was kind of, I was still working, reading, but it was just, you realize when you're reading a book and how much you're loving that moment, how important it is to just have that pure escapism, not think about anything else.
And that book grips
Immerse
you, doesn't
yourself
it? And
into the
you're
story.
so invested in
Yes.
the story. And actually, something I read this week said, read the books you like to read and you'll want to read more.
It made me feel
Isn't
that way.
it?
And I actually wanted to read it really slowly because I
Yeah.
didn't want the story to end.
She's great, Colleen Hoover.
Yes.
There's
another one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get
Okay,
that.
you get that and then lend it to me.
I will do that. So we wanted to end on those little positive notes because that's just kind of what's uplifted us this week, hasn't it?
Thank you so much for listening to episode 7 of the podcast. Can't believe we've done 7 episodes.
I weirdly feel like this has always been our life now.
And I was thinking, do we need to take a break? But I don't want to take a break. How many episodes in a series? What do we do now?
And it's funny because so many of our friends say, oh, we love it. And you guys are so natural. And when we started it, this is a whole
we were not
new...
natural to start.
No, we
were
weren't.
really over talking each other
Yeah.
like we're doing now.
We get very excited and then we just start mumbling over each other. But we are very much enjoying it and we're loving all of your messages of support and that you guys love it too. So it definitely keeps us going.
And please, if you're enjoying it, don't forget to subscribe, to like, to follow. Follow us over on Instagram as well, at We Are Twinset, at What the Brand. And do leave us
And
a
also
review.
at Twinset.
Oh, sorry, yes, and at Twinset
know.
Unzipped. Forgot about that one. And we share lots of sneak peeks as well behind the scenes there. And thank you, as always, for listening.
See you soon.
Bye.